Hi everyone, happy Sunday. Welcome back. Hope you've had a good week. Today we are continuing in the book with Isaiah with chapters 4 through hopefully 8. See how far we get. All right, Isaiah chapter 4. 7 women will take hold of one man on that day, saying, "We will eat our own food and wear our own clothing. Only let your name be given us. Put an end to our disgrace. On that day, the branch of the Lord will be luster and glory, and the fruit of the earth will be honor and splendor for the survivors of Israel. He who remains in Zion and he that is left in Jerusalem will be called holy, everyone marked down for life in Jerusalem. When the Lord washes away the filth of the daughters of Zion and purges Jerusalem's blood from her midst with a blast of searing judgment, then will the Lord create over the whole site of Mount Zion and over her place of assembly a smoking cloud by day and a light of flaming fire by night. For over all his glory will be shelter and protection, shade from the parching heat of day, refuge and cover from storm and rain." Chapter 5. Let me now sing of my friend's song concerning his vineyard. My friend had a vineyard on a fertile hillside. He spaded it, cleared it of stones, and planted the choicest vines. Within it he built a watchtower, and he hewed out a winepress, and he looked for the crop of grapes, but what it yielded was wild grapes. Now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I had not done? Why, when I looked for the crop of grapes, did it bring forth wild grapes? Now I will let you know what I mean to do to my vineyard. Take away its hedge, give it to grazing, break through its wall, let it be trampled. Yes, I will make it a ruin. It shall not be pruned or hoed, but overgrown with thorns and briars. I will command the clouds not to send rain upon it. The vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah are his cherished plant. He looked for judgment, but see bloodshed. For justice, but hark, the outcry. Woe to you who join house to house, who connect field with field, till no room remains, and you are left to dwell alone in the midst of the land. In my hearing, the Lord of hosts has sworn, many houses shall be in ruins, large ones and fine, with no one to live in them. 10 acres of vineyard shall yield but one liquid measure, and a homer of seed shall yield but an ephah. Woe to those who demand strong drink as soon as they rise in the morning, and linger into the night while wine inflames them. With harp and lyre, timbrel and flute, they feast on wine, but what the Lord does they regard not. The work of his hands they see not. Therefore my people go into exile, because they do not understand. Their nobles die of hunger, and their masses are parched with thirst. Therefore the netherworld enlarges its throat and opens its maw without limit. Down go their nobility and their masses, their throngs and their revelry. Men shall be abased, each one brought low, and the eyes of the haughty lowered. But the Lord of hosts shall be exalted by his judgment, and God the Holy shall be shown holy by his justice. Lambs shall graze there at pasture, and kids shall eat at the ruins of the rich. Woe to those who tug at guilt with cords of perversity, and at sin as if with cart ropes. To those who say, "Let him make haste and speed his work, that we may see it. On with the plan of the Holy One of Israel. Let it come to pass, that we may know it." Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who change darkness into light and light into darkness, who change bitter into sweet and sweet into bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own sight and prudent in their own esteem. Woe to the champions at drinking wine, the valiant at mixing strong drink, to those who acquit the guilty for bribes and deprive the just man of his rights. Therefore, as the tongue of fire licks up stubble, as dry grass shrivels in the flame, even so their root shall become rotten and their blossoms scatter like dust. For they have spurned the law of the Lord of hosts and scorned the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore the wrath of the Lord blazes against his people. He raises his hand to strike them. When the mountains quake, their corpses shall be like refuse in the streets. For all this, his wrath is not turned back, and his hand is still outstretched. He will give a signal to a far-off nation, and whistle to them from the ends of the earth. Speedily and promptly will they come. None of them will stumble with weariness, none will slumber, and none will sleep. None will have his waist belt loose, nor the thong of his sandal be broken. Their arrows are sharp, and their bows are bent. The hoofs of their horses seem like flint, and their chariot wheels like the hurricane. Their roar is that of the lion. Like the lion's whelps they roar. They growl and seize the prey. They carry it off, and none will rescue it. They will roar over it on that day with a roaring like that of the sea. Chapter 6. In the year King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a high and lofty throne, with the train of his garment filling the temple. Seraphim were stationed above. Each of them had 6 wings. With 2 they veiled their faces, with 2 they veiled their feet, and with 2 they hovered aloft. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, they cried one to the other. All the earth is filled with his glory. At the sound of that cry, the frame of the door shook, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, I am doomed, for I am a man of unclean lips, living among a people of unclean lips. Yet my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, holding an ember which he had taken with tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth with it. See, he said, now that this has touched your lips, your wickedness is removed, your sin purged. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Here I am, I said, send me. And he replied, Go and say to this people, Listen carefully, but you shall not understand. Look intently, but you shall know nothing. You are to make the heart of this people sluggish, to dull their ears and close their eyes. Else their eyes will see, their ears hear, their heart understand, and they will turn and be healed. How long, O Lord? I asked. And he replied, Until the cities are desolate, without inhabitants, houses without a man, and the earth is a desolate waste. Until the Lord removes men far away, and the land is abandoned more and more. If there be still a 10th part of it, then this in turn shall be laid waste, as with a terebinth or an oak whose trunk remains when its leaves have fallen. Holy offspring is the trunk. Chapter 7. In the days of Ahaz, king of Judah, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, Rezin, king of Aram, and Pekah, king of Israel, son of Remaliah, went up to attack Jerusalem, but they were not able to conquer it. When word came to the house of David that Aram was encamped in Ephraim, the heart of the king and heart of the people trembled, as the trees of the forest tremble in the wind. Then the Lord said to Isaiah, Go out and meet Ahaz, you and your son Shear-Jashub, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool, on the highway of the fuller's field. And say to him, Take care you remain tranquil and do not fear. Let not your courage fail before these 2 stumps of smoldering brands, the blazing anger of Rezin and the Arameans and of the son of Remaliah, because of the mischief that Aram, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah plots against you, saying, Let us go up and tear Judah asunder, make it our own by force, and appoint the son of Tabeel king there. Thus says the Lord, This shall not stand, it shall not be. Damascus is the capital of Aram, and Rezin the head of Damascus. Samaria is the capital of Ephraim, and Remaliah's son the head of Samaria. But within 60 years and 5, Ephraim shall be crushed, no longer a nation. Unless your faith is firm, you shall not be firm. Again the Lord spoke to Ahaz. Ask for a sign from the Lord your God. Let it be deep as the netherworld, or high as the sky. But Ahaz answered, I will not ask. I will not tempt the Lord. Then he said, Listen, O house of David. Is it not enough for you to weary men? Must you also weary my God? Therefore the Lord himself will give you this sign. The virgin shall be with child, and bear a son, and shall name him Emmanuel. Sound familiar? He shall be living on curds and honey by the time he learns to reject the bad and choose the good. For before the child learns to reject the bad and choose the good, the land of those 2 kings whom you dread shall be deserted. The Lord shall bring upon you and your people and your father's house days worse than any since Ephraim seceded from Judah. This means the king of Assyria. On that day the Lord shall whistle for the fly that is in the farthest streams of Egypt, and for the bee in the land of Assyria. All of them shall come and settle in the steep ravines and the rocky clefts, on all the thorn bushes and in all pastures. On that day the Lord shall shave with the razor hired from across the river with the king of Assyria, the head and the hair between the legs. It shall also shave off the beard. On that day a man shall keep a heifer or a couple of sheep. And from their abundant yield of milk he shall live on curds. Curds and honey shall be the food of all who remain in the land. On that day, every place where there used to be 1,000 vines worth 1,000 pieces of silver shall be turned to briars and thorns. Men shall go there with bow and arrows, for all the country shall be briars and thorns. For fear of briars and thorns, you shall not go upon any mountainside which used to be hoed with the mattock. They shall be grazing land for cattle, and shall be trampled upon by sheep. Chapter 8. The Lord said to me, take a large cylinder seal and inscribe on it in ordinary letters belonging to Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz. And I took reliable witness, Uriah the priest, and Zechariah son of Jeberechiah. Then I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. The Lord said to me, name him Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz. For before the child knows how to call his father or mother by name, the wealth of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be carried off by the king of Assyria. Again the Lord spoke to me, because this people has rejected the waters of Shiloah that flow gently and melt with fear before the loftiness of Rezin and Remaliah's son. Therefore the Lord raises against them the waters of the river, great and mighty, the king of Assyria and all his power. It shall rise above all its channels and overflow all its banks. It shall pass into Judah and flood it all throughout. Up to the neck it shall reach. It shall spread its wings the full width of your land, Emmanuel. Know, O peoples, and be appalled. Give ear, all you distant lands. Arm, but be crushed. Arm, but be crushed. Form a plan, and it shall be thwarted. Make a resolve, and it shall not be carried out. For with us is God. For thus said the Lord to me, taking hold of me and warning me not to walk in the way of this people. Call not alliance what this people calls alliance, and fear not, nor stand in awe of what they fear. But with the Lord of hosts make your alliance. For him be your fear and your awe. Yet he shall be a snare, an obstacle and a stumbling stone to both the houses of Israel, a trap and a snare to those who dwell in Jerusalem, and many among them shall stumble and fall, broken, snared, and captured. The record is to be folded and then the sealed instruction kept among my disciples. For I will trust in the Lord, who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob. Yes, I will wait for him. Look at me and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are signs and portents in Israel from the Lord of hosts who dwells on Mount Zion. And when they say to you, inquire of mediums and fortune tellers who chirp and mutter, should not a people inquire of their gods, apply to the dead on behalf of the living? Then this document will furnish its instruction. That kind of thing they will surely say. First he degraded the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but in the end he has glorified the seaward road, the land west of the Jordan, the district of the Gentiles. Anguish has taken wing, dispelled its darkness, for there is no gloom where but now. There was distress. Chapter 9. The people who walked in darkness have seen great light. Upon those who dwelt in the land of gloom a light has shone. You have brought them abundant joy and great rejoicing, as they rejoice before you as at the harvest, as men make merry when dividing spoils. For the yoke that burdened them, the pole on their shoulder, and the rod of their taskmaster you have smashed, as on the day of Midian. For every boot that trampled in battle, every cloak rolled in blood, will be burned as fuel for flames. For a child born to us, a son is given us. Upon his shoulder dominion rests. They name him Wonder Counselor, God Hero, Father forever, Prince of Peace. His dominion is vast and forever peaceful, from David's throne and over his kingdom, which he confirms and sustains, by judgment and justice, both now and forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. The Lord has sent word against Jacob, it falls upon Israel. And all the people know it, Ephraim and those who dwell in Samaria, those who say in arrogance and pride of heart, bricks have fallen, but we build with cut stone. Sycamores are felled, but we will replace them with cedars. But the Lord raises up their foes against them and stirs up their enemies to action. Aram on the east and the Philistines on the west devour Israel with open mouth. For all of this, his wrath is not turned back, and his hand is still outstretched. The people do not turn to him who struck them, nor seek the Lord of hosts. So the Lord severs from Israel head and tail, palm branch and reed in one day. The elder and the noble are the head. The prophet who teaches falsehood is the tail. The leaders of this people mislead them, and those to be led are engulfed. For this reason, the Lord does not spare their young men, and their orphans and widows he does not pity. They are wholly profaned and sinful, and every mouth gives vent to folly. For all of this, his wrath is not turned back. His hand is still outstretched. For wickedness burns like fire, devouring briar and thorn. It kindles the forest thickets, which go up in columns of smoke. In the wrath of the Lord of hosts, the land quakes. At the wrath of the Lord of hosts, the land quakes. And the people are like fuel for fire. No man spares his brother, each devours the flesh of his neighbor. Though they hack on the right, they are hungry. Though they eat on the left, they are not filled. Manasseh devours Ephraim, and Ephraim Manasseh. Together they turn on Judah. For all this, his wrath is not turned back. His hand is still outstretched. And we'll go ahead and stop there. A couple verses that I would like to highlight. Chapter 5, verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who change darkness into light and light into darkness, who change bitter into sweet and sweet into bitter. You hear that, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. That's referenced a lot, especially these days. Chapter 6. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Here I am, I said, send me. That's something to remember, all of us. We are all being called, and we all need to learn to hear the Lord when he's calling us and be ready to say, send me. And since we are reading the first of the prophets, chapter 7, verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself will give you this sign. The virgin shall be with child and bear a son, and shall name him Emmanuel. And chapter 9, verse 5. For a child is born to us, a son is given us. Upon his shoulder dominion rests. They name him Wonder Counselor, God Hero, Father forever, Prince of Peace. That's Jesus. So we are already within the first couple chapters of the first prophet in the Bible. We are already seeing things being fulfilled or looking ahead to Jesus, things in the Old Testament times as well as New Testament times already being foretold. And that's always fun to recognize the things as that we've already read or that we know happened. We haven't gotten to the New Testament yet, but we will soon. In about a year, I think. So yeah, anyway. We'll go ahead and stop there. Okay, let us go ahead and close with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. All right. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.